Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of the Mono Report. Today we've got something a little bit different to what is usually done on the channel, but since the summer movie season is just around the corner, I thought it might be time to do a little bit of a breakdown and a little bit of a preview of what you guys can expect to see coming in the next few months during the summer season, as it is the time when all the studios release their big summer blockbuster films, the time most people are sort of excited to go out to the movies. Everyone's kind of on holidays and enjoying themselves, and it's a good time to really stuff popcorn in your face and enjoy yourself and sit back, relax, and get lost in some mindless action or some decent comedy or something to kill time for a couple of hours while you don't have to worry about school or whatever. I mean, if you're down in Australia, it kind of sucks because it'll be winter down where you are, so you don't get quite the same thrill of a summer holiday season, but you still get these movies and you still get to know what's coming out, even though some release dates are going to be sort of slightly shifted around due to scheduling and different holidays and all that. So without further ado, we'll get stuck right into it. The first film to officially kickstart the summer movie season on May 5th is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, I know Australia already has this film. It was released, I think, on the 25th, which was Anzac Day. So you guys in Australia have probably already seen it. But for us over in North America and the States and Canada and other places around the world, we get it May 5th. The reviews for the film have been quite positive. It was a little bit mixed in some aspects, but mostly positive for the most part, which is good to see. But I'm very excited about seeing Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't seen it yet, but I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. James Gunn is a director that I really admire and really think quite a lot of. I really respected what he did with the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Took an unknown concept that people didn't really know very well as a very obscure Marvel property, and now the Guardians are a household name. That first Guardians of the Galaxy film was so much fun and so entertaining. It's really great just to see him back, and there's really no one else I would rather see take the reins of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, as he's really the only person who should be making those films. Next, after Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we get King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which is a Guy Ritchie film starring Charlie Hunnam. I think we get a few guys from Game of Thrones in there as well. I'm not too sure about this film. The trailers haven't really grabbed me. We get kind of a bit of that Guy Ritchie style. I don't mind Guy Ritchie. I quite liked Man from U.N.C.L.E. It wasn't his best film. I've enjoyed his Sherlock Holmes films. His films like Snatch or Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels are his best films, but it's been a long time since those sort of films were out, and I think Guy Ritchie's really changed into a different type of filmmaker, and I'm not really too sure how this film is going to do. I mean, I don't really know anyone really super pumped or excited to see this film. I know Guy Ritchie is a talented director, but it just doesn't look like anything we haven't seen before. It's an interesting Guy Ritchie spin on that King Arthur mythology and gives a little bit of a twist on sort of the typical fantasy style film, but I don't really see it as something that's really going to grab people, especially when we're going to be in between two big superhero films that are coming out. Don't really see a whole lot of people really gravitating towards King Arthur, so we'll see how that does. I don't mind Charlie Hunnam as an actor. He's great in Sons of Anarchy, but he hasn't been as great in some films like Pacific Rim and a few others where he hasn't quite hit the mark. So Charlie Hunnam's been a little bit hit and miss for me, so it really depends on what type of role he's given. After that is a film that I'm really, really excited to see. From everything I've seen of it so far, it's given me a lot of confidence in the film and that they're doing the right thing, and that's Alien Covenant, being released May 19th. After a disappointing turn with Prometheus, glad to really see Ridley Scott coming back to what made Alien special, really delivering on the tension and the horror of the original Alien, and bringing the fans of the Alien franchise what they really wanted from Prometheus. A proper prequel to that first Alien film. We get to see the xenomorphs, we get to see more of that world and have a bit more developed around the idea of the engineers, because the engineers were always fascinating. It was just the execution of how the story of the engineers was sort of told in Prometheus that kind of let their story down a little bit. So hopefully we get some more answers in Alien Covenant that were absent in Prometheus, and we just end up with a really solid Alien film, because it's been a long time since we've had a really solid entry in the Alien franchise. A really long time. Someone who's a massive fan of both Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. Everything after those two films really takes a dip, and really hope we get something that might not stand quite as tall as those two films, but something close to that kind of prominence. Just something to really kickstart the Alien franchise name once again. Following Alien Covenant, we get a film that I'm not really too sure about how it's going to perform. It's going to be interesting. This is Baywatch. Releases on May 25th, and this is the reboot directed by Seth Gordon. It's got Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron starring in it, with I think Alexandra Daddario in it as well. And I don't know about this one. It really feels like they're trying to go for the 21, 22 Jump Street vibe, like that style of reboot. Something that kind of pays homage to that original TV series, but gives us something fresh and more contemporary with today. But I really don't know if this is just going to be more of a raunchy comedy that relies too much on the raunch and it just ends up just being kind of annoying and redundant, or it doubles down more on the comedy aspect of it and it becomes something a bit more like in Neighbours, where there are raunchy elements but the comedy actually really worked and landed quite well, and you actually ended up with something that was quite memorable. So I think we'll have to see how Baywatch goes. I'm not 100% sold on how Baywatch is going to go. I think it might be fun. If it turns out to be a 21 Jump Street type film, then I'll probably enjoy it, but at the moment still a little bit unsure. Then following that, we get, I can't believe there's 5 of these films now, but we get Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and this releases on May 26th, directed by 2 Norwegian directors, Joachim Rønning and Espen Sandberg, who directed a really great film called Kon-Tiki, if you want to check out what those guys did. This film looks interesting. I mean, I've been turned off the Pirates of the Caribbean films for a long time. I mean, the last Pirates of the Caribbean film that I genuinely really enjoyed is still the first one. The other two were just way too bloated and overstuffed, and just, they were so long and just had so much pointless garbage in them, and it just killed a lot of the enthusiasm I had for those kinds of films. Whereas the first film just had perfect balance of sort of action, comedy, and you got that great introduction to Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. And I mean, the fourth film was just horrible, absolutely horrible. It's a bad film. But I've heard a lot of really good things about this new Pirates of the Caribbean film. It was screened at CinemaCon early April, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So these new directors from Norway hopefully are going to breathe a bit of life into the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. We get some of the old cast back. We've got Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom returning. Be a bit of a reunion, because I don't think those two characters at least haven't been a part of the franchise for at least 10 years now. So it'll be interesting to see them all kind of come back and return. But I don't know. I mean, if this film doesn't land, and I think that's probably it for the Pirates of the Caribbean, they kind of, I don't know, they'll have their fan base. I know there are people that really like the Pirates of the Caribbean films, but if the 5th film doesn't land, then anything they do for like a 6th Pirates of the Caribbean film, and just, I don't know if you're going to really grab the attention of anyone else who might be looking forward to those films. I just don't see anyone really gravitating towards them. So, I mean, we'll see how we go with that Pirates of the Caribbean film. From what I've heard, there are good things to say about it. We'll see on May 26th whether it's something to really remember or something more along the lines of the previous Pirates of the Caribbean sequels. So we'll see how it goes. And then finally for May, there's a little limited release that I just threw in, something a little bit different. It's a film called Berlin Syndrome, starring Teresa Palmer, who's an Australian actress who was in Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson's film last year. She was pretty great in that. It is directed by Kate Shortland, and it's a bit of a dramatic thriller. It's got an Australian woman who is visiting Berlin, ends up being locked up in an apartment, and she's unable to get out after hooking up with this German guy that she meets in the city. a little to the side. It gets a limited release on the same day that Pirates of the Caribbean film comes out, but I think Australians will probably get it a bit sooner, or they'll release it at a different date to avoid that competition with Pirates of the Caribbean. But we'll see how it goes. Teresa Palmer's a fine actress. She was good in Hacksaw Ridge, but we'll see how it goes. But it's something I'm kind of interested to see how it is and how it does. So yeah, it'll be a little something a little bit different aside from all those blockbusters that month. But what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to kind of split this breakdown into separate videos. So this is going to be the May video, and what we'll do, because otherwise this is going to be just one really super long video for you guys, so to save you having to try and trudge through, a 50-minute video or whatever, I'm going to break this all down into the different months. So there'll be a video for June, July, and August, so you'll get kind of the entire summer breakdown, but in just different months. So stay tuned. The June video will be up very soon, so stay tuned for it. I'll be kind of releasing these back to back, so you don't have to wait super long for these to come out. So stay tuned, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of thing. It really helps me out a great deal, guys. Anyway, stay tuned. The June video coming up soon. See you in a bit.